Greetings, everyone. We're going to continue our breaking down of animals into shapes. We've had quite a few requests, so we're going to start with one of the more requested ones, which is the horse. Now, when I start this, I'm actually going to start with really large shapes. I'm going to do it in pencil. So I see a rectangle, I see a little bit of a circle right here, a rectangle for the nose, which dips down into a circle, and a rectangle with a little circle on the bottom. If I come back up from that nose, I'm going to create a long skinny rectangle, the circle about right here, a triangle coming out here for the ear, another half circle here for the other eye, and we're going to have a triangle going off to the side for this ear. Okay, now we're not focusing on background, so I'm not going to worry about the background, but from here, one more little rectangle, I will be able to go ahead and drop in my shapes. Okay, so as we look at these things, I'm going to go ahead and start with the eye. The eye is a circle with the pyramid on the top. Rectangle going over the eye. We're going to have our little pyramid, a little triangle, a little half circle, a rectangle coming down here. Now, in between the eyes, got a triangle, half circle, triangle, triangle, long rectangle, now, depending on how detailed you want to get, you could start putting in a pattern that creates a false texture by going in and putting in a bunch of little triangles at this point. Not really necessary, but you know, it's fun. Long skinny triangles coming off for hair. We're actually going to flip those around and back again. Look at the shadows that the hair makes. You can even go ahead and fill in these shapes. It's going to help us later on when we start focusing specifically on textures. Triangle ear. Triangle ear. Half circle, quarter circle, triangle sneaking up behind. Now that jawline, most people would just leave that big circle. Okay, but let's take it a little bit further, shall we? Rectangle, rectangle, big organic triangle. You see how it curves? Another triangle coming down. It's actually a funky rectangle. Rectangle. Smushed half circle. Rectangle for the neck. The shading in there is going to be one large and slightly curvy rectangle, triangle, triangle, repeat. Most of this would be shaded in if we were going to take this to completion. And we wouldn't be using a marker, we'd just be laying these lines, or these shapes I should say, down and then going back in and shading them out, creating value changes, hue changes, sometimes texture changes as we go along. But we're going to work our way into that slowly. I want you to first be able to draw absolutely anything in existence. Take it one shape at a time. It starts to become super easy. Easy peasy, the drawing will be a breezy. And don't worry about your shapes being the exact same shapes that I make. You may see something a little different than I see in the piece of artwork. Bunch of rectangles, bunch of little half circles. The rectangles, getting the weird angles that I'm getting with them, will actually come easier for you if you continue to practice the contours and the blind contours, the modified contours, and the banded contours that we went over earlier. It's best to practice a little bit every day with all of those. But bare minimum, I would say at least once a week. Unfortunately, I'm at about once a week with those right now. Stay busy, busy, busy like a bee. But I still force myself to take the time, at least on Fridays, to practice the basics. Because they're always, always, always going to be important, and you can always learn from them. No matter how good you start to get, or maybe how good you already are. And remember, all of this is learnable. You don't have to have some magic talent that you were born with to do great art. You just have to have the determination to practice, practice, practice. It is impossible not to get better at something that you do every day. Alright, our little horse is coming along pretty darn nice, if I do say so myself. Now from this point on, if I were using the pencil, I could start to shade it, blur it, texturize it, and make it look like a actual proper drawing of a horse. Okay, thank you for hanging out with me today. Keep in mind, even though we may be all far apart, we're in this together. So be good to each other. We'll see you next time.